everybody. How are you today? Welcome to the show, the MyVegas Show. My name is Mark. I'm the publisher of MyVegas Magazine, and this is where the magazine comes to life. And if you know two things about me, my two favorite things to do in this world is magazines all day, and I love doing nothing but music at night. I love music. It's been in my life my whole time. And today, I am so happy, so excited to share with you a couple other friends that also love music as much as I do, probably a little bit more because they've got a big show on the Strip. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Sally and Ned here to the show. You guys, thank you for coming down. I'm so excited today to have you here on the show and talk about music because that's what touches my heart, and I love it. Sally and Ned, you have the Carpenters show. It is called
Carpenters Legacy.
Carpenters Legacy. And if you're an old timer like me, you know how amazing the Carpenters were, the music they put out, the sound. It was phenomenal. And I'm sure you two know more about it. We're going to talk about that. But first things first, let me ask you a question. You both are talented musicians. We talked a little bit before the show. You've been doing this a number of years. And you came up with, I guess, the concept so many years ago, a few years back, and we'll talk about that timing. But why a Carpenters tribute show?
Well, first of all, I have always loved the music of the 60s and 70s. I was born in 1981, so it wasn't really the music of my generation. It's more of my mom's. But I latched on to that music and that era. And so years later, developing what would become Carpenters Legacy, the show, was a very natural thing for me. So, because I just love that music. And more specifically, I'm from Vermont, and this whole show concept came about around 10 years ago. Actually, we just celebrated the 10-year anniversary. The original, very early version of the show, before I met Ned, debuted on January 16th of 2015.
Okay.
And at that time, the very early version of the show was a cabaret show. So it was just me singing some of the songs of the Carpenters and talking about the history of the Carpenters in between the songs. But a couple years into that project, I realized that I wanted to go the full impersonation route.
Okay.
And that's when I started talking with some people who I met in New York City when I brought the show there, and they suggested that I check out Las Vegas. And one of those people is a dear friend of ours, Pamela Sullivan, and she's a former showgirl, and she's been living in Vegas for many years, but originally from New York. And she introduced me to Ned, and I came out and visited Las Vegas in January of 2018, and the rest was history.
Wow. Okay. Well, welcome to Vegas.
Well, thank you.
All right. Again.
Yeah.
All right. Ned, what led you to put this whole project together?
Yeah. Well, it's Sally's original creation. So when she came to visit Vegas, like she said, 7 years ago, we met through a mutual friend, and the word got out quickly about, hey, there's this lady visiting who does Karen, and we met at I used to perform at the Tap House on West Charleston. We talked about that, and as soon as she sang, you could hear a pin drop out there. But it was like, wow, you know. And so originally, our mutual friend Pam Sullivan was going to introduce her to other piano players to get to know them and see, what would be a good fit musically. And I was her first pianist, and quickly realized I was her last one.
Okay.
So I would invite her to perform with me at a lot of my shows and gigs, as we call them, right?
Yeah.
And so it started to take off. It took several months, of course, to decide what direction are we going to go with the show. There was a lot of music to be put together, which I'm the arranger of, and so. I guess the official debut of the show probably wasn't until, about a year later.
It was April of 2019.
Yeah.
Wow. What, for those of you out there in TV land that may or may not remember the Carpenters, a lot of people remember the songs, but don't remember necessarily who did the songs. And when I think we should touch a little bit on that. Give me 3 or 4 of their number ones. They've had a million of them, but one that the folks might remember.
What comes to mind is Top of the World, Richard composed, right?
Top of the World.
And Goodbye to Love. Now, a lot of their hits Richard didn't compose, but he was the one in charge of finding the material. Of course, he would find some interesting ones, like from Burt Bacharach, and We've Only Just Begun was a commercial for Crocker Bank. And he heard the commercial. He said, I got to find out about this.
And it was Paul Williams and Roger Nichols.
It was Paul Williams and Roger Nichols. And so he called Paul Williams, is there more to this song? Is there a bridge? You know, and he said, yeah. And so we put it together. But all the material, that signature Carpenter sound, all of that came from Richard.
Wow. And Richard Carpenter, Karen Carpenter, the Carpenters, famous from the days gone by. And it's an era. You said earlier that it wasn't necessarily your era, but you love that music. And so you must have an old soul.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure. I think it's quite possible that I lived another life in the 60s and 70s, and I'm back. So
well, you got that look, you got that that vibe going on both of you.
And not just music. I mean, we both love like mid-century modern architecture.
Oh,
anything
really?
70s and. And the avocado greens and oranges and shag carpet and that whole thing. You know, she'll get on Facebook. Hey Ned, check this out! I just saw this cool house. You know, and so that's a big. Oh man,
I love
thing.
that. Now, speaking of the Richard Carpenter, recently you just met him.
We did. Actually, it was almost 10 months ago. Hard to believe, but it was last April.
Okay, tell us about that experience.
Yeah, you should tell about when you first learned that we were going to have the meeting. That was interesting.
Yeah, so we've been wanting to meet Richard Carpenter for years. Obviously, it's kind of been one of our major things on our wish list, doing our show. And we have a really close friend, Erin Gatlin, who I got to know her through some of these Carpenters fan groups on Facebook. And so I knew Erin before I even knew Ned, and Erin used to live in Las Vegas, so I met her on my first trip here. But she's become very close with Richard and his personal assistant. And so with some effort, because I mean, it's hard to get a meeting with a celebrity such as Richard Carpenter.
Sure.
So she was able to get us this meeting, and we knew she was working on it, but we didn't know if it was going to happen. So we were in Atlantic City doing a big show at the Ocean Casino Resort last April. And we were at dinner. It had been a really long day, hadn't really slept well the night before, and we were getting ready for our show the following day. And I get the text from Erin saying that we got the meeting. Oh. And I was like, oh my gosh.
She started crying.
And, yeah, crying.
I'll bet.
And then that meeting would happen at the end of the month of April.
Very exciting meeting too. We were going to, originally it was only going to be like 30 minutes of his valuable time. But the meeting ended up being at his car museum. He has a private museum. He's a big car collector like Jay Leno. And he sold off a lot of his collection, but he still has only about 50 cars left. I mean, these beautiful things. His passion is classic Chryslers from the late 50s and early 60s. And I'm a motorhead too. I love cars. So it became a very pleasant experience because we realized that if you want to get his time, his two passions is music and cars.
Okay.
And so, and Erin came and her friend Keith came, and he's a Corvette guy and I'm a Cadillac guy. So if you start talking about cars, I mean, you just keep them going. And what was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting went well over 2 hours.
Oh, and talk about how his arrival.
Oh yeah, he showed up in a brand new Porsche, you know, and pulls up and gets out, and then in the museum he has a 9-foot concert grand piano, and we were able to coax him to, hey, why don't you sit down and play a couple of tunes for us, which was quite an honor. I didn't dare, I was way too shy to ask, hey, can I do a duet with you? I would have loved to do that. And he has a Carpenter's memorabilia room with all their stuff on the wall. The
gold records and everything.
Oh yeah, the frame letter that, you know, Herb Alpert is the A of A&M Records. We should talk about that actually, and of congratulating him.
When close to one, hit number.
When close to you hit number one.
Close to you hit number one.
And it was an experience we'll never forget.
Where was the meeting at? At his garage?
Near his home in Thousand Oaks, California.
Yeah, it's this beautiful car collection warehouse called Yesterday Once More, appropriately.
Okay, perfect.
And it's immaculate. You could eat off of the floor.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah. And he signed a poster for us at the end of the meeting.
Did you get to sing when he played the piano?
You know.
I didn't dare. I was kind of starstruck, and I let Ned do most of the talking. So
I took a nice photo of her next to Karen's Mercedes. Was there?
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of memories in that building.
In that building,
Absolutely.
Wow. But 2 hours—that's a long, beautiful interview time, meeting time.
Oh yeah, he went to each car. He could tell you, this was, this 8-cylinder car was this and this many horsepower, and and then he would go into music and then go back to cars, and
sure.
that was definitely
Did
his
you
passion.
get to? Did he ask you any questions about, like, how's your career going with the Legacy Show?
Not really. We wanted to celebrate his life and his passions and his cars. Another thing we had in common, we're both fans of Baldwin pianos back in the day. They don't make them in the United States anymore. Okay. And as soon as he sat down at the piano, we started talking shop. I'm like, oh God, this is a Baldwin SD10, with the different, the AccuJust tuning pins, and he was surprised that I knew about that.
Oh, really?
And so we talked a little bit about it. I think at this point in his life, he really is. He's now retired from the music business, but he loves his cars. I would talk to him. Hey, I really like what you did on that Bach invention that you did from such and such an album, and from. He said, yeah, but anyway, so this Chrysler here, and then he would go back to the cars. Yeah.
Wow, how fun! Well, he's not 45 years old anymore.
Neither am I, but yeah.
But so he's probably in a new chapter of his life, and the cars, and he loves that, and he's having fun, and
absolutely,
but still beautiful. Wow, and you were starstruck. That's awesome.
Yeah.
To meet the one that that you're actually living and breathing every night with the music of them, and then to meet them. Wow.
And that was so kind of him. The moment he looked at Sally, he said, "Oh, you must play my sister." He knew it immediately when he saw her. So.
And you were there doing a show, so you travel a lot. You're touring nationally. Additionally, in addition to maintaining the Vegas residency show, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's go about what's it like on the road.
Wow. Challenging.
Okay.
Yeah, when we tour, because we have the Vegas residency and it's 4 nights a week. When we tour, it's usually no more than a week at a time, but usually we just do the touring on the weekends.
Okay.
So it's a lot of in and out and in and out.
Okay. Yeah, because our residency is Monday through Thursdays, so usually Friday's a travel day, and then do a show Saturday. One of the things we're very protective of, and I'm especially protective of, is Sally's voice. So I'll get up on the morning of the show and I'll rehearse the band, and get everything ready to go, and then Sally arrives, and then in less than 2 hours, the entire show is rehearsed and ready, and we perform that night. Sunday, get up, fly back to Vegas, back to the residency on Monday. So it's a long weekend. One of the misconceptions a lot of people have when towards people touring, they're like, oh my God, you're so lucky. Like, hey, when you're in Florida, do you get to go to Disney World and
the beach?
No, we've seen some of the nicest airports. There's no time we rarely even visit friends or family when we're out of town. We go take care of business and then get back to our residency.
Where has your travels taken you?
All over the place. There's been a lot of interest in, we do a lot of shows in Texas and in California, Florida, Arizona. We have a network of talented musicians. We wish, and we always miss our Vegas musicians, but we do pick up local musicians from wherever we are. We recently performed at the Eisman Center in Richardson, Texas, outside of Dallas. Had over 1,000 people, almost sold out, 1,100 for that.
Wow.
We're performing there again at the Palace Theater in
August.
And we're looking to maybe do something in Houston. We're talking about that now.
That's what I'm talking about right there, success.
Yeah.
What about how many years on the road so far?
Yeah.
7?
Well, we've been touring since we launched this new version of the show in 2019. So
we took baby steps. Before there was a residency, it was strictly out of town things.
About 6 years touring.
Yeah, we did some closer to home. We did a thing in Mesquite, Nevada. We did some stuff locally here, like the Starbright Theater and Solera. Anthem, and then as the show grew, every time we would do a show, it was always a learning experience, and
Well,
refining the music and making it better all the time.
what was one of your most memorable touring gigs that you was like, wow, that was one of our favorite, or your favorite? What was one of the most memorable, fun ones you did?
How about for you?
Well, I mean, gosh, we've had so many fun experiences, but the most, I think, recent rewarding and fun experiences that we were just in Los Angeles weekend before last, performing at Herb Alpert's Vibrato Grill Jazz venue.
Ooh.
And it's a smaller venue than we would normally do, and it's technically a jazz club, but of course we wanted to perform there because it's Herb Alpert's venue, and he discovered the Carpenters, A&M Records, and launched their career in 1969.
Yeah, Alpert is the A of
So-
A&M, and we had the honor meeting Jerry Moss, the M of A&M, a few years ago, and he passed away.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was quite another one. That's memorable, especially for Sally, is we played her hometown. in Rutland, Vermont.
Last April.
Oh,
and it was like a
wow.
hero's welcome for her.
Oh,
when
man.
we did that.
How was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty special because I had lots of family in the audience, and
Yeah.
then classmates and teachers, and
Yeah.
I went to
many
Vegas
people
and
was like,
look at me
this,
now.
this is your life, kind of a
One
moment.
of the memorable ones for me was when we debuted our orchestra version of the show, and I arrange all the music. I always like to say, in our show, if you saw it, she created it. If you heard it, I created it.
Okay.
So she has an art background. She studied in Italy, and so she does our web design, our beautiful videos in the show, and I did all the music arrangements and produced our albums that we put together.
It's a collaboration. Vegas, the show you've got going on in Vegas, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But right now, we're going to take a little short pause for the cause, and we'll be right back after this with the Carpenters Legacy.
My name is Nick Pomponio, and I'm here to provide you with the legal representation you deserve. Enough of the gimmicks and attorneys selling taglines. No fee until we win, millions recovered, and free consultations. These are basic, empty promises. Not only will I cut you a check, but I plan on changing your life. It's time for Las Vegas to get on another level. You need an attorney who has no fear, no limit, no equal. If you have suffered injuries in an accident, contact me today.
Hey, we're back here again with Ned and Sally with the Carpenters Legacy show, and we've been talking for about 15 or 20 minutes here, but hey, we've only just begun. Okay, we're just getting started. So I'd like to find out now. So here we are in Las Vegas. You've got this show. Tell us about the show right here, where locals can come watch.
Yeah, it's at the V Theater at Planet Hollywood.
Okay.
The show is Mondays through Thursdays at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And they can, of course, get their tickets at the V Theater box office. Yeah.
All right, Monday through Thursday.
At 5 in the afternoon. And that gives us, as we spoke before, the ability to tour and travel on the weekends.
And it's a nice, the V Theaters has several theaters in it, and it's V3, so it's seats around 200, so it's intimate, but it's not too small. It's kind of just the right size, and it's got these beautiful big video screens, which lends itself very well to our show because we have a lot of video projections going on through the entire show.
Like the history of the Richard and Karen?
Well, I mean, you see moments from some of their music videos and a lot of atmospheric stuff, and then there's a lot of moments where Karen and Richard are doing their thing on stage, and Ned and I are doing our thing as Karen and Richard, and it's in total sync.
So she'll
it's very
like
cool.
Karen moves her mic this way, and she does the same thing, and you can hear people gasp in the audience. Wow!
Same costumes, so.
Yeah.
So is there a screen in the background or something?
yeah.
There's one big one on the main level, and then there's two smaller ones higher up.
Ned, you're a techie guy. Is that all done on Ableton?
Yeah, actually, in this department, she's the techie person on this one. She put the videos together, so.
I put the videos together, but in terms of the system that they run,
I don't know.
That's the theater.
A lot of it is done in QLab.
Yeah.
And how do they get tickets to the show?
Yeah, they can go to the V Theater box office.
vtheater.com.
Yeah, vtheater.com.
Or just go in person.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, and so and we'll hit that up on the screen here before we say goodbye. But let's talk about recording projects. I heard you guys got some recording projects going on too.
Yeah, our first album, we literally did an album. We did vinyl and a CD.
Vinyl, okay.
And it's called 1976. And it features we recreated all the Carpenters' greatest hits. With a couple of surprises, Sally sings Superstar in Spanish, which is really interesting. And for the Christmas season for this past year, we came out with a new project on CD called Christmas Time with You. We were talking right after the holiday of 2023, if I can keep track here. We were like, when's the last time you heard a new hit of a Christmas song? So I put together this song about people being away from each other on the holidays. Her family's in Vermont, mine's in North Carolina, but we have each other, right? So that's why I said there's no one else I'd rather spend my Christmas time with you. And we put it together, and it's done very well.
But it sounds like, Ned arranged it so that it sounds like a Carpenter song. And a lot of people who heard it for the first time thought that maybe it was a Carpenter song that they had forgotten about or that they had never heard. Yeah. So it's like, it really sounds like a Carpenter song.
I created those signature Carpenters jazz vocals, harmonies. And the only way to properly do that is to sing each voice twice with double noise. So if you have, for example, Christmas Time with You has 6 different harmonies. So it took 12 tracks just to do the vocal harmonies and put them together. And I'm singing all the harmonies on that one. Some of the songs she sings harmonies.
Is this it's already out?
Yeah, it came out last November. October.
Like iTunes, we can go get on iTunes?
It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on all the major streaming platforms.
Oh my, and what do I look for on iTunes too?
Just look for Carpenters Legacy. And then the project is Christmas Time with You.
Oh, I'll find it, from there. Wow, recording projects. So more in the oven? More recording projects?
Well, we have been talking about maybe re-releasing that on vinyl.
Okay.
And vinyl is actually complicated. You don't just say, okay, here, make a vinyl.
Sure.
We did a very, very, very limited, like half a dozen copies for close friends and supporters of us on vinyl. Okay. But we may release it out to the general public. It has to be completely remastered just for vinyl because the bass levels and stuff, there's a lot of intricacies that have to be done. You have to do a test pressing. It costs about 8 times more to do vinyl than CD.
Yeah.
And so, but that may be our next big project.
Wow. And a documentary coming up soon. Let's dip into that a little bit.
Yeah, we started filming a documentary about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And the concept behind that was to give people a behind-the-scenes look into the creation of Carpenters Legacy and also our first album, because we were working on the first album at that time. And then life got really busy with the residency once we started that and touring. So I was constantly kind of waiting for the right time to release the documentary. And then a lot of time went by. And about a month ago, I put out the short version, which is about 16 minutes long. And so it's on YouTube and social media. And probably within the next couple of weeks, I'll release the full version, which is 40 minutes. But it's a lot of really great interviews with people in the industry. And then, of course, us and our Vegas band members talking about the show and the Carpenters and what it's like to do a Carpenters tribute here in Las Vegas.
Fun.
Even interviews with some people who actually work with the Carpenters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you hire a company to do the documentary or just did it all yourself?
We did it ourselves, kind of like we do everything.
And she's a techie. She put it all together.
Well, I mean, I didn't, I'm not the videographer. We had our good friend and a very talented videographer in town, Brett Hansen.
Right, we hired a professional voiceover artist, and I put the storyboard together of, how to put it together. And
okay, what's the one that's about to be released? Is that a different one?
That's this, yeah.
That's the full-length version.
Right, so
she did a teaser.
So it's called Carpenters Legacy, We've Only Just Begun. That's the documentary.
Wow. Okay, good stuff. The show was created back when? When you originally created this show, the Carpenter Legacy?
2019. Yeah.
About 2019?
Once we got together and basically did an overhaul of what I had previously put together in Vermont, and then we relaunched it in April of 2019, and that's when.
Yeah, and by when we met, it was the first time that she had someone playing the role of Richard. She had done it herself before. And it was the first time that it was done fully in character. She speaks as Karen, I speak as Richard. We patterned a lot of it after their concerts in 1976, particularly in UK.
Oh, you had to watch those.
Yeah.
Right. And even like what we say on stage is I transcribed what Karen and Richard would say on stage. So it is a script, and
Their
we say
banter,
exactly.
Yeah, their banter with each other.
Relive the moment.
And a lot of the jokes as
Yeah,
well.
and we have a couple of things where we kind of wink, like if they were still doing their duo show today, what would they be saying? Because I kind of joke about like, hey, what's a CD? We're supposed to be 1976.
Oh, man.
So we have a lot of fun with playing with the time. We say it's 1976, but then when we mention our CD, I'm like, what's that? So we have fun with that. And we also have a Christmas show as well. It's patterned after their TV specials from 1977 and 78, and that's very popular on the road.
You're bringing back memories for a lot of people that had that era that meant a lot. Probably was the wedding song. We've only just begun. I can imagine that was a wedding song back in what year was that released?
Oh, yeah, well,
70-something?
Early 70s.
71.
Oh, I'm sure that
72.
was a wedding song then.
Yeah, it went all the way to number 2.
It was, yeah. We have so many people after our show during the meet and greet who'll say, that was my wedding song. Oh, we're celebrating our anniversary. That was my wedding song. So.
Oh, man.
And we always do a meet
to
and greet after our show so people can get to say hi, have photos with us if they want to buy an album or T-shirt. And yeah, it's very common where we keep Kleenex at the table because there's people like, oh, that was our song. And it's really touching and inspiring when we have people come in. Hey, we flew all the way from Scotland or from Australia,
Brazil,
Europe,
Philippines,
to come see our show. I'm
Germany.
like, well, I'm glad I showed up. That's
I'm
really.
glad I made it while you were here.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't call in sick today.
Oh, that's funny and warm. Anniversary milestones coming up.
Well, we've had some.
Right, yeah.
Actually.
We just celebrated the 10-year anniversary of the creation of the show.
Okay.
Trying to think what else.
And coming up will be, if you combine our previous residency with our existing one, our 500th show as a Vegas residency will be coming up in, 9 days, 10 days? Mm-hmm. Yeah, coming up.
Is that
show
going to be a
500.
special night at the theater?
We've been so busy we haven't talked about it, but I don't see why we can. A lot of times
we should do a little something.
We'll usually have a cake and invite the
500
audience
candles.
to come out and meet us. And, it's like my birthday, and we'll put a cake out and make a big event of it. I think that would be nice to do that.
Wow! All right, Monday through Thursday, I've got to come see the show myself. It's going to take me down memory lane a little bit, I'm sure. What are the new and exciting projects on the horizons now?
Our focus this year has been on, we're currently booking the rest of 2025 and 2026. We just confirmed we're going to Florida, right, in January. There's been some stuff that's preliminary talks, so we don't want to jinx it because things happen or not happen. We'd been talking with somebody about maybe doing something in Germany, doing some more touring and just focusing on the show and just, it's a work that's constantly in progress. We're always making it better, making it tighter, and it's that'll on some.
And we may be adding some new material to the show this year.
Yeah.
Say it again.
We may be adding some new material, some new songs. Well, not new, but new to this show.
New to the show.
Yeah, just to keep things fresh and mix it up a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've only just begun.
We're just getting started, and that could be. I'll write one called "We're Just Getting Started."
I wish I wrote that song. Yeah.
The parody.
But you don't want to ruin the original. Musically wise, Ned, you've been around Vegas how many years?
Well, that's another milestone. May of this year marks my 25th anniversary.
Okay.
And I moved here May 26th of 2000.
Wow, that's like a quarter of a century.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
Almost
my
like, hey, I should loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly with the pots and pans hanging off the side, And I came here and I didn't know one living soul. I rented a room from this lady I knew I was working on a cruise ship in Hawaii at the time. And I was like, okay, now I gotta find work. What do I do? And I quickly asked around, where are all the jam sessions at? Where do people go and meet musicians? And every night I'd leave the house with a couple of dozen business cards in my pocket and introduced myself. And I was pleasantly surprised that although Vegas is a highly competitive entertainment capital of the world, there was still a place for me. I was a pianist, music conductor. I did a short stint with Joan Rivers. I worked with Don Rickles. There's a show I wrote the music for called Shades of Sinatra. And so before Carpenters Legacy, I'd become the go-to person for that. And I also did some other stints. I headlined cruise ships with my own show called Piano Follies. Okay. And I did a short stint as a Jerry Lee Lewis impersonator, which is far different than playing Richard. Richard's a lot more subdued. Okay. I would shake my nerves and rattle my brain and have my hair spiked up.
Oh, really?
And had a lot of fun. But yeah, this is quite an adventure. If someone told me 10 years ago I would be headlining on the Las Vegas Strip, I'd say you were crazy.
And look at you now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at you guys. Wow. Phenomenal.
It's all her fault.
It's all her fault.
Yeah, I stole him away from
the show. All right. So if you're watching the show, you want to come see the show, you've got to see it. V Theater, Google it or figure it out. But get your tickets Monday through Thursday. The show starts at 5 o'clock. And if you want to catch the amazing Richard Carpenter and Karen Carpenter, probably just as good, if I'm not mistaken, with Ned and Sally, the Carpenters Legacy. Thank you guys for showing up today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in. I loved it. I'm so excited. I'm going to come see the show. I'll be the one waving up from the audience with both hands.
You're welcome anytime.
I can't wait to see it. All right, I'm going to grab a date and come on out and see you guys. That'll be fun. It's all. Last question. They're so romantic. All their music. What are you guys doing? You got plans for the 14th, Valentine's night?
Yeah. What day of the week is that?
That's a Friday. I think we have some business stuff. We're not working, but we have some business stuff to take care of during the day. But I think that Saturday we're actually going to go see the Bronx Wanderers at the South Point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and go out to dinner. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you guys. Make sure you catch the show, okay? The Carpenters Legacy. I'm Mark, MyVegas Magazine. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, God bless y'all.